Hello there. It's been a while. Welcome back to Draw-Thru. This is Season 2, Episode 3. And imagine if you will, it's the late 2000s. Transformers Animated has just ended. You've had two Transformers movies by the controversial Michael Bay. You've had Transformers and Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Mysteriously, Transformers is no longer on Cartoon Network. You had 3 seasons of an amazing show called Transformers Animated, but for some reason it ended. And now this new thing called The Hub shows up. And you're wondering to yourself, is there going to be more Transformers? Of course there is, there always is more Transformers. There's always more Transformers. But this time, it's Transformers Prime. You're skeptical, because Transformers Animated was incredible. It was fun to watch, the characters were endearing, it was funny. How can this show live up to it? Will it live up to it? It does. Spoiler alert, it does. Transformers Prime was a 3-season long show that, was actually quite good. I remember watching it on a whim one day and thinking to myself, gosh darn it, this is actually pretty darn good. And for the first time in like 5 shows, Peter Cullen reprises his role as Optimus Prime. We got used to hearing him in the 2 movies, and somehow they roped him in to do another show, which I am A-okay for because it just sounds right. Not to say that David Kaye didn't do a fantastic job as Optimus Prime in the previous show Transformers Animated. He did a great job. I actually really like that version of Optimus Prime. But it's good to get the classic Optimus back with his classic Optimus voice. And his classic Optimus sense of humor.
Optimus, you want to see something funny?
No.
Also, Frank Welker comes back as Megatron. Again, it's been, well, David Kaye, funny enough, but I like Frank Welker's take on Megatron this time around more than the original, funny enough. But this is all beside the point. What am I drawing right here on the screen? It isn't Optimus Prime. It isn't Megatron. It is Transformers Prime Shockwave. Now, Transformers Prime had a pretty decent screen-to-toy accuracy. Like Transformers Animated, it was character design first, toy second. So they had a pretty daunting task on their hands to get some of those designs from the screen to a toy form. Shockwave here, he nails it. Now, he doesn't have this, he doesn't have this. What are these things, right? These are just little add-ons from the 3rd season when everything's all beastie. The 3rd season was Beast Hunters or something like that, frankly. It's a way for Transformers or the marketing team. It's a way for the marketing team to say, ooh, this is new and special. It's just the 3rd season. It's just more of the same. But they needed a toy gimmick, and so now you've got these like Predacon, it was Predacon Rising. Predacon, like weird Beastie Bones things that never showed up in the show, so I'll just kind of get rid of those. Don't need that, don't need that. Perfect, there we go. That's exactly what he looks like. Shockwave shows up near the end of Season 2 of Prime, and when he shows up, he immediately makes himself known. He makes a presence.
We may be in a little more trouble than I thought.
Autobots, say hello to Shockwave.
Shockwave is basically just evil Spock, but not like goatee evil Spock, just like robotic evil Spock, because he doesn't have emotions. He's very analytical. He always has lines about, your logic is faulty.
I find your reply to be logical.
Or whatever, if he doesn't like what you're saying. He's a great counterbalance to Starscream in the season. I won't really get into the show because this really isn't about that. This is more about the toy itself. And I'm getting there, I promise. Whoever did the sound design for the gun, it's brilliant. It is a hearty laser gun sound that for some reason they get rid of in Season 3. I don't know why. Like, I was kind of pissed when I was watching Season 3 and the sound was different. Like, the sound was perfect in Season 2. Why did you change it? He is a frightening character who has 0 empathy and an unfortunate amount of power for someone who has 0 empathy.
Do not worry. If her mind does not survive the procedure, you will be next.
Fast forward to Season 3, he kind of becomes one of the main characters of the Decepticons. He has a great on-screen dynamic between him, Ratchet, and Knockout in a particular episode. I won't get into details again.
There is much to do in little time, Doctor. Shall we get back to work?
Certainly.
The characters in Transformers Prime, well done. Like, any show to have to follow up Transformers Animated, which was also an incredible show, Prime, it's a good one to follow up animated with. So at least it wasn't Spectacular Spider-Man followed up by Ultimate Spider-Man, or Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes followed up by Avengers Assemble. Like, those are two instances where the original great show had to be canceled for another company to say, we want to put out our own version of it, and then it just kind of crashes and burns. Prime, luckily, was not one of them. Now, Shockwave was expertly voiced by David Sobolov, who went on to play Blitzwing in the Bumblebee movie, which is why, short as his role may have been, it was so impactful.
Did you think you could hide?
There's a presence that David brings to this character that wouldn't have worked had it been the original voice actor for Shockwave from G1.
Female.
Not to say he isn't good. He's good for a type of Shockwave. David works for this type of Shockwave. Now that we have all of that out of the way, let's actually talk about this guy from a design standpoint. Now, first and foremost, as I mentioned before, you can tell that he is a blocky son of a gun. He has broad shoulders, big feet, big arms, a big freaking gun. The integration of the treads from his back, his alt mode, into the gun as kind of like a feeder, like a belt feeder, very smart. He obviously has a lot of design notes that are pointy and spiky, which gives him a very evil and menacing look. Now, he is covered in spikes, and he looks very dangerous. But they made the decision to make the spikes flexible, which is probably smart because this would do some serious damage. There are some downsides where if this rests in any kind of bent position, you're just gonna have bent spikes, which kind of sucks. The design language here on Shockwave reads as intimidating, with a very callous, single-eyed face that shows no emotion, which fits for the character. They did change some things for the show, like this is black and he doesn't have this thing here, obviously, because this is a gimmick. This is a little fun gimmick. I actually think it's kind of cool. So you push it and it spins and you see the little missile here in the middle, and it's just a nice way to have an action on this toy, and it kind of clips together. Very satisfying. This is a very satisfying little gimmick. They also toned down his purple from the original, from being more of a lilac to being a bit more of a rich royal purple, which also gives him a dignified look to him. And I noticed that ever since this point, it was kind of the status quo of Shockwave to be a bit more on the bulky side, more intimidating. As we see in the third movie, the Michael Bay franchise, they also make their Shockwave very, very large, very intimidating, broad shoulders, small waist, heavy feet. Even in the Bumblebee movie, he's fairly chonky. Also, the concept art of the Bumblebee movie show him in a tank alternate mode, which is basically lifted directly from this guy. Now, let's get into that tank alternate mode. So here we have his tank mode. Now, Shockwave has always kinda had a problem with alt modes the same way as Megatron has. Megatron was a World War II era pistol that they had to convert into like a laser gun thing, and when the laws prevented him from being a gun in Toyland, they had to like make something up, so they made him a tank, which makes sense. Shockwave here, same problem. He was a laser pistol in the original G1 show, but again, same problem. What do you do with a laser pistol when you can't have a gun alt mode? You make him a tank. It makes sense because a tank is just a gun on wheels, a very big gun on wheels, and it makes sense. And so as Megatron was turned into a regular human tank, or human-based tank in most things, he was turned into a Cybertronian tank. Like he was a Cybertronian laser pistol, I guess. And he can still do the thing. It's the same problem with a lot of Cybertronian modes where it's just kind of a thing with wheels or a thing with wings. But it's not bad. It still has the same ominous presence. If you were to see this thing coming at you with that amount of spike action kind of pulling back, the way the spikes are arranged, all going back, it gives this feeling of speed. Even though it's a tank, it's a fast tank. It's an alien tank. It really does look alien with all the weird little spindly spikes hanging off, and everything is spiky and pointy, and you know, looks like it could kill you in so many ways. Kudos for keeping like the major design elements of Shockwave. You know this is Shockwave based on the gun and the chest piece that becomes kind of like the front visor, maybe cockpit thing, not really sure. It looks like Shockwave in both robot mode and ult mode and tank mode. And there's really not much to say about this. It's just a tank mode, spiky, nice and bulky with big old wheels in front. But it's not much because it's Cybertronian. As far as a lock test, his arms do like to come off, so there's that. I take great care of my collectibles. He passes the shake test not that well. I feel like Woody trying to, hey bros, how's it going? Oh, buddy. See, we're friends. You know what I'm talking about. In conclusion, this is my favorite version of Shockwave. We had an incredible voice actor give him an ominous presence. The writers made sure to make him very intimidating. He's a multi-layered character. He's not just like a big muscle guy like Lugnut or Bulkhead. Nothing wrong with those characters. It's just, yeah, definitely a trope where there's like the big bumbling, you know, muscle guy, but he's a muscle guy with an incredible intellect. And obviously I like him a lot, so I'm gonna say, hey, if you can pick him up somewhere, go ahead. But no, really, he's actually quite good. Anyway, in conclusion, I hope you enjoyed the artwork going on right now. This was a very fun piece to paint. I learned a lot while doing it, and I'll probably, we'll see if I do this kind of stuff, this style of robot painting from here on. I may have more experiments to run, but so far I've really enjoyed this. It was fun to paint this guy. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Draw-Thru. So far I've kind of been trying to keep this chronological in order. First episode was Megatron from 2006. Next one was Astro Train 2007. I was going to do another triple changer for this episode, but I'm like, Nate, probably pick something else. Third triple changer you've done, because technically that Megatron's a triple changer. But I realized I've done 3 Decepticons in a row. Decepticons just have cooler designs, man. I don't know what to tell you. Optimus Prime is nice, but what can you say about Optimus Prime? He's a truck with big old windows for chests. Like, that design is so solid. I have nothing to say about it. He's blue in the pants and red in the shirt, and Decepticons, he doesn't do this. Optimus Prime doesn't do that. Anyway, next episode, I will probably do an Autobot because, God bless, I need to do something that's not just Decepticons. Well, until that time, see you later, and remember to stay logical.